What's up, Taiwan? I'm Eric Gao with 10 minutes of news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Starting off with some Taiwan news, the International Monetary Fund has raised its forecast for the country's GDP growth this year to 3.3%. That would see Taiwan's GDP per capita become the highest in East Asia, outperforming Japan for the first time. Eugene Huang has more.
Taiwan is currently one of the world's best performing economies. That's according to the latest report from the International Monetary Fund, or IMF. The organization has raised its forecast for the island's economic growth this year to 3.3%, and with it, Taiwan's GDP per capita. That figure is the country's total economic output divided among its population. And for the first time in over a decade, Taiwan is set to overtake neighbors Japan and South Korea on this key metric. But people on the streets of the capital Taipei say they aren't feeling the change.
超越日韩吗？
是刚刚才知道，感觉不太出来哎。
因为薪水没有涨啊。
哦，确实，
薪水都一样。
好像没有什么生活突然变得更好的感觉。
As Taiwan now ends pandemic restrictions and rejoins the rest of the world, it will have to find a way to balance economic growth across different sectors. The country has been shielded from much of the economic turmoil seen across the globe over the past 2 years, but tougher times may still lie ahead. Klein Wang and Eugene Huang for TaiwanPlus.
In business news, semiconductor giant TSMC has received a 1-year license which will allow it to access U.S. chip-making equipment for its facility in Nanjing, China. New Biden administration rules require licenses for any U.S. products being used for advanced chip-making facilities in the mainland. The U.S. export controls are part of Washington's initiative to slow down Chinese tech gains. But the U.S. has granted licenses to TSMC and other companies in the sector to avoid disruptions to the semiconductor supply chain. Taiwan's border reopening this week has made citizens living abroad planning trips home. But as John Van Trieste reports, the Taiwanese business community in China is finding it hard to come back for a visit.
Home at last. As Taiwan reopens, many of the country's citizens living abroad are coming back for long-awaited family reunions. But as they descend from all parts of the world, there is one place where coming home is proving to be a struggle, despite being just across the Taiwan Strait. China's zero-COVID policy and disrupted air travel pose hurdles for hundreds of thousands of business people. And if they do make it to Taiwan, there is no guarantee that they will be able to get back into China, mainly due to different standards in what constitutes a COVID infection.
CT 值是30就已经达标了，不算是新冠。来到大陆的话，你 CT 值是超过30就会被送到隔离所去隔离。所以觉得还是相关部门要跟大陆相关部门来做一些沟通。
Taiwan's body overseeing relations with China says both sides still need to come to an agreement about restarting flight routes that were scrapped during the pandemic. The council says once flights resume, the focus will be on getting citizens home.
考量我方目前仍然有入境总额管制管控，为保障国人优先从海外返国的权益，开放陆客来台观光并非优先的项目。
The council hasn't given a timetable for when talks might begin, meaning many families' reunions may have to be put on hold indefinitely. Patrick Chen and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Police in Taipei found a 24-year-old Malaysian college student dead in her apartment on Thursday. The student is believed to have been strangled to death. Police say the main suspect is her 30-year-old boyfriend, surnamed Zhen. He was later rushed to the hospital after an apparent suicide attempt. The motive for the killing is not yet known, and an investigation is ongoing. Taiwanese authorities are working with farmers to eradicate weeds from orchid exports. The U.S., Taiwan's largest market for the flower, sent back 16 batches of butterfly orchids and suspended imports last month after finding weeds in the plant's culture media. Taiwan's Agriculture Minister Chen Jizong was quizzed on the issue at the legislature on Thursday. He said the government is working to resolve the problem. Taiwan's orchid industry was worth around $200 million in 2021. A strong earthquake last month and recent heavy rainfall have caused landslides in Taiwan's main rice-growing region in the east of the country. A series of 7 landslides have struck the Tsikesan Industry Road in Yuli Township, Hualien County. These have been blamed on a powerful 6.9 magnitude earthquake last month, made worse by days of heavy rain that began last week. The road is an important artery for Yuli, which is home to the country's most productive rice fields. And the damage to irrigation canals feeding the fields means the crops aren't getting the water they need. County authorities say they're working urgently to reopen the road and get subsidies to affected farmers. The Biden administration's first National Security Strategy Report has named China as the greatest challenge the U.S. faces. Washington also expressed concern about the modernization of China's military and its aggressive activity around Taiwan. But the strategy document also backs the Cross-Strait status quo, opposing Taiwan independence, but also reaffirming U.S. commitments to Taiwan's defense. Biden's national security advisor, Jake Sullivan, says that the goal is not a new Cold War, but that action is needed within the decade.
The PRC's assertiveness at home and abroad is advancing an illiberal vision across economic, political, security, and technological realms in competition with the West. It is the only competitor with both the intent to reshape the international order and the growing capacity to do it.
South Korea's President Yoon Suk-yeol says his government is ready to counter provocative action from the north. Pyongyang fired a ballistic missile into the seas off the Korean peninsula's east coast on Friday. It also flew 10 military planes close to the border with its southern neighbor. Seoul says Pyongyang is violating a 2018 military pact that bans hostile acts in the border area. The uptick in military action by the North comes as Seoul imposed sanctions on North Korea, blacklisting 15 North Korean individuals and 16 institutions involved in missile development. Yoon told press on Friday that his administration is ready to counter any threats.
여기에 대한 우려도 많이 있습니다만, 하여튼 정부는 출범 이후에 북의 이런 도발에 대해서 하여튼 나름 빈틈없이 최선을 다해서 대비 태세를 구축해 나가고 있고.
Now is the best time of year to snap pictures of the greater painted snipe in Elan County, where a local campaign hopes to make it Elan's official bird. Ryan Kilpatrick reports.
As summer turns to autumn in northeast Taiwan's Elan County, it's mating season for the greater painted snipe. The bigger and more brightly colored females spread their wings to scare off potential threats. The scene is a delight for bird watchers, and in a rarity among Taiwan's birds, it's the males that rear their young.
它是公鸟，就是鸟爸爸负责孵蛋，还有育雏，把小孩子孵出来之后，然后带到长大，让小孩子独立起来。
Among Taiwan's over 600 avian species, these stunningly feathered shorebirds are one of the very few polyandrous varieties, with females taking several partners at the same time. They're also being championed by members of the public who want them to become the official bird of Elan County. Local authorities say they're looking into the possibility.
那我们正在县政府这边会持续的研议一个评选办法，那也欢迎各界一起来推荐我们的县长候选人。
Whether or not they take the crown, the greater painted snipe is already royalty in the wetlands and rice fields of Elan. Ryan Kilpatrick for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. Remember to download the TaiwanPlus app for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, we leave you with images of Roosevelt elks at Northwest Trek Wildlife Park in the U.S. state of Washington. These are the largest of the 4 surviving subspecies in North America. I'm Eric Gao. Take care and see you next time.